Welcome back to 2 Cents with Jay Richardson. This is where I give you my 2 cents on all things sports and whatever is the latest in the sports world, and nothing's bigger and nothing's more latest, even though it happened a few days back, than Kawhi Leonard choosing the LA Clippers. Now, this is the free agency wrap-up we're doing today, so I want to go through this decently quick and get some other topics, but this is obviously a huge one. We all awaited this. Kawhi took his time, made everyone wait, because he can do that. When you're the top free agent on the list, no one's going to rush you. And you know what? I don't have any issue with him choosing LA. I don't have any issue with him not going to the Lakers, even though I am a LeBron fan, admittedly so. He's from Ohio. I'm from Ohio. Listen, man, love the dude. But I understand Kawhi's decision, one, to leave Toronto, and two, why he went to LA. We all know he's from LA. We all know, the Southern Cal area is home to him. That made sense. He bought a $3 million mansion there, a couple years back, so it made very much sense why he would do this. But why he left Toronto, I think people got to realize that, as athletes, he was never he was traded to Toronto. So let's just start there. Okay, that wasn't his choice. He never went to Toronto by choice. It was a trade. So this is his first time really in free agency. This is his first time to really make his own decision on where he wanted to go. So I think Toronto fans got to understand that first and foremost. And secondly, he won a title year one. When you win a title year one, it's not like he got to the NBA Finals or to the conference finals and lost. He might have felt a burning desire with that same roster to go, you know what, I think we can do it. If I stay, we can do it next year. But he did it. He already did it. He literally executed everything you want to do as an athlete year one with the new franchise. I don't know that you can top that, and I don't know that he wanted to try to top that or try to repeat it. I think he wanted to go with what made him happy. And we all know Boardman does what Boardman wants to do. So guess where he went? To LA, the Clippers. Why? Because Jerry West is building something in LA, and he wants to be the new LA team. They want to be the marquee franchise. They want to go after the Lakers. They want people to go to the Staples Center to see them and not the Lake Show. And you know what? You got to respect Jerry West. He always builds teams wherever he goes, and he always knows how to put together a good roster of talent and hard work and chemistry. It's all about a mix. You can't just have talent. If you have too much talent, it won't matter. You need a culture, and he's building a culture. And what I see right now, the LA Clippers culture is built around defense. Why? Because the second biggest news of NBA free agency, to me at least, was they were able to somehow convince Sam Presti and the Oklahoma City Thunder to trade Paul George. I don't know how they did it, through a whole lot of first-round picks, and we'll get to that in a minute. But that Paul George deal must have happened at 3 a.m. in the middle of the night. No one was talking about Paul George going to the Clippers. It all happened all at once. I mean, it was Kawhi's going, oh, by the way, we got PG too. What? Where did this come from? You have two guys who could have been arguable MVP finalists last season, now on the same team, and both of them are two of the best two-way wings in the game. Some would argue the best two-way wings in the game on the same team. You pair that with Patrick Beverley. You pair that also, with Montrezl Harrell down there, who's a monster in the paint, plays his butt off, and you have a situation where it is going to be hard for opposing teams to get buckets on the LA Clippers. That's just flat out. That's what it's going to be. And on the flip side, we all know Paul George can score at will. We all know Kawhi gets to his spots and delivers. This is going to be a tough basketball team, and I think LA is in for one of the most exciting years of basketball we've ever seen in that area, in the SoCal area. But there's fallout from this. When you take all of these first-round picks and you basically mortgage the farm for later on, because you know there is nothing happening right now if you're OKC. And what I mean by that is I feel like Sam Presti looked at his roster. He looked at how, the Thunder did last season, getting beat by Dame Lillard and those boys. And I think he said, you know what, this ain't the roster. This ain't going to happen. And I don't think this team, Russell Westbrook and Paul George, ain't going to be the ones to make it happen. Even though we got Steven Adams and these guys, nope, it's not going to happen. So why not take all of these picks, all this value we have, all of this talent we have, and start moving some things around? So they got rid of Grant. They traded Paul George. They got back a boatload of first-round picks and options for the future and probably a little cash. And they didn't tell Russ until it was too late. So Russ is mad. I don't blame Russell Westbrook. You feel like you're building something, you stick around in that city. I mean, people forget, just a handful of years ago, Russ could have gone to the Lakers. Russ, they were offering him money. He wanted to stay because he wanted the Supermax, and he wanted to make OKC his home, and he wanted to make them a contender, and he thought guys would want to come play with him, and he turned into a triple-double machine. Problem is, they never really built the right team. And I don't know that Russ can be the best player on a championship team. And I think he's realized that because he wants out now. He wants out immediately. And I don't blame him. Where would he go? Everyone's talking about options, potential fits. Russ is a hard guy to plug in because you would think anybody who's a walk-in triple-double would be easy to plug in on any team, but it's all about chemistry. And Russ, if you wait till the shot clock gets down at 22 seconds and jack a three that's contested and brick it like you've been doing the last 4 years, no one's going to want to play with you. Least of all, Jimmy Butler in Miami, and that's where he's rumored to go. And let me tell you something right now. If you send Russ to Miami and you pair him with Jimmy Butler, at some point in the regular season, Russ is going to get punched in his face. I don't care what anybody says. Jimmy is Russ is passive-aggressive. We know that. He gets a little attitude. He's not going to say anything right away, but he's going to do little things, and things are going to pop up, and you're going to see it. He's got that passive-aggressiveness just like James Harden. That's why they didn't work well together. Jimmy Butler's aggressive, okay? He's going to say something to you on the floor, in practice. We learned that in Minnesota, and if it comes down to it, things could get physical. There could be some furniture moving, and they could have a potential adult moment at some point during the season. I just don't think that's a great fit. I think, Miami's trying to build a decent roster. I think, don't get me wrong, the talent would be there, sure. Adding Russ to that franchise, to that team, with that group of guys, yeah, in the East, you're going to compete. KD's not going to be around this year. Boston's still trying to figure it out, and they're definitely rebuilding. The only team that looks solid in the East right now is the Bucks and Philly, and only because, once again, just talent, and Milwaukee still has their core intact. I understand all of that. But if I'm Miami, I cannot pull the trigger on that trade. I don't know if it's worth it to get all that talent plus the cap hit for Russ for what you're going to get in return. I don't see it. So all this is going on, and we're talking about the Clippers, we're talking about Paul George, and quietly the Lakers are filling out their roster kind of nicely. I know everyone felt like, the Lakers, they didn't get their guy in Kawhi Leonard, so they lost in free agency. Are you crazy? LeBron James and the LA Lakers added AD. We all know that, but I don't think people really appreciate what just happened. They added the best big to me in basketball, and you paired him with the best all-around player maybe in the history of the game in LeBron James, and you still were able to keep KCP. You still were able to re-sign Rondo. You just added Boogie, who I don't care what anybody says, Boogie can still give you 12 and 10 and probably 5, and the dude is still somebody that when he's fully healthy is a force in the middle and is a high IQ basketball player. And oh, by the way, you kept the most important piece for building around LeBron, Kyle Kuzma. You're talking about a 6'9.5", 6'10" small forward who can slash, who can shoot, who can defend, who's long. I don't know that anyone's going to be scoring in the paint against the Lakers this year. We all know what LeBron does in the paint with those chase down blocks and with the way he helps side defends the entire basketball court. And then you added Anthony Davis, who beyond being a walking 20 and 16 guy will also give you 4 blocks, will also give you a couple steals, is long, can defend on the perimeter, can move his feet. You have a very, very, very special basketball team being built in LA, and it's not just the Clippers. LeBron and these guys are going to be tough. I don't know if they're instantly the title favorites, but it's going to be a battle. We already can assume that the Western Conference Finals is going to be LA versus LA. We're all excited about that. And oh, by the way, when we all thought wherever Kawhi went, Danny Green would follow, turns out he followed just to the other LA team because the LA Lakers also got a shooter. That's right, Mark Wahlberg got a good shooter. You're talking about adding Danny Green to a situation where you have LeBron and AD in the middle. LeBron drives, kicks it. AD catches, decides what he wants to do with it. He can drive and kick as well. But you have shooters around LeBron now. KCP is a shooter. Okay, Danny Green is a shooter. They're going to be in the corners, and you're going to have AD in the middle. Who are you going to double? You got to double AD because he can't be single covered. You don't actually want to double LeBron because he's such a good passer and because he's never looking to just shoot right away. He's always looking to pass first. So I get why you wouldn't double him, but the problem is he's going to exploit that big time. He's going to have a lot of one-on-ones, and I got a feeling he's going to do a lot of damage, and he's moving to point guard, which that's not really news. He's been a point guard his whole career. He just happens to do it from everywhere on the court, sometimes in the paint, sometimes on the wing, and sometimes at the top of the floor. So that's just LeBron. LA is going to be interesting. I can't wait to watch this NBA season. The wealth is finally spread out. And the New Orleans Pelicans, quietly adding J.J. Redick, to me, is a huge pickup for them with so much young talent. You need a veteran guy. One, you need a shooter. Every team needs shooters. That's the league now. But you need a vet who's a pro. And I think it's important to have a vet that's a pro to teach these young guys, to teach Zion and some of this youth movement that they're going to have down there in New Orleans, how to be a pro. That's such a subtle, nuanced part of the game that so many people don't realize is important to having success on the court, on the field, no matter what sport it is. Young players always need veteran leadership. That is big time. So who's the real favorites to win? If you had to ask me right now, I still say the LA Lakers just because of the size, the length, the potential to be explosive offensively, and the potential defense they're going to have if they can stay healthy. Right after that, you have to look at Kawhi and Paul George on the same team. Good God, that's going to be a problem. With Patrick Beverly, yeah, that's going to be an issue. And then after that, the Utah Jazz, adding Mike Conley and a handful of other guys who I just think are very, very good players. They're going to be quietly maybe the best cultured team from a stance of discipline, team basketball, and just overall balance. I think that's a very well-balanced team. That's going to be a problem. That's probably going to knock Portland out of there, and it's really going to come down to those three teams in the West with Denver. So I guess you could say 4, but we know it'll be LA versus LA. Now, speaking of the Pelicans, #1 overall pick in the NBA last week had his first debut, Zion Williamson, first debut in Summer League. And as much as I love this kid, you can't not love this kid. Yeah, he's big, he's strong, he's explosive, he's athletic. But what I love most about him is his personality. He's just a nice kid. He works his butt off. His teammates love him. He's going to bring a lot of great things to the New Orleans Pelicans. We know that. But the one thing we also know is he has a lot of work to do. Here's what I love about social media in this new social media era. If you didn't watch his first Summer League game and you just saw the social media highlights, you know what you would have thought? Oh, my God, he's a monster. He's going to kill this league. Look at him. You saw him tearing the ball from Knox from the Knicks, taking a hop step over top of him and dunking it hard as I don't know what, almost broke the rim, and everyone's going crazy. You saw him have those 4 dunks, and other than that and 2 free throws, those were the 10 points he had, I believe. Why? Zion has to understand the NBA game. It's going to take him a little while to find where he fits. He's not a true big, and he's not a true wing. What do I mean by that? A true big in the NBA is going to be 6'9" and up. That's just how it works. Zion's about 6'7" and a half. I don't see him out-rebounding 6'10" guys consistently. In the first quarter, he had a lot of good rebounds. Why? He's explosive, so he's going to get up there and get those boards. In the third quarter, you're not going to see that. Why? Legs get tired, and guess what? The guy you're rebounding against is still 6'10". All through the game, he's 6'10". It never ends. So he's going to get a lot of those boards early, but later on in the game, he faded. And here's the biggest issue. When you're not a shooter, when you're not even a threat to make a jump shot, he got 2 jump shots blocked, airballed 1, a couple other ones just looked very bad. Guys are going to pack the paint, okay? Look at Ben Simmons right now. His game is completely one-dimensional, and he is extra limited because of the lack of outside shooting. So Zion has a lot to work on with his game, but the most important things that I work on that I've been talking with people about who've been really watching him play is, kid, you got to lose some weight. And I know he hasn't been able to work out. It's been a whirlwind since the draft. He's had a lot on his plate. And I get that completely, and it makes sense why after that little knee-to-knee contact he had late in the game that they took him out for the rest of Summer League to rest him. It wasn't just to rest him. It was to kind of protect his image. You got to market this guy. If you're the NBA, Zion Williamson is the reason anyone's going to watch the New Orleans Pelicans, and they're the reason people are going to be cutting their TVs on to see how the #1 overall pick, who had more hype than anyone since LeBron, is going to perform. You don't want that to fall flat on its face in the first quarter of the season, right? You don't want him to come out, look like a bust, and then people stop watching. That's bad for business, bad for marketing. It's bad for his potential shoe deal, which he needs to sign soon before he gets out there and anyone finds out that he might not be the hooper you thought he was. Do I think Zion can develop into a very good basketball player? Absolutely, man. The kid's got too many physical tools, and I think he's too hard of a working kid and too good of a person not to excel. And it's going to be important that he has a great shooter around him to teach him some technique like a J.J. Redick and teach him how to be a pro. And it's going to be important that the team puts him in situations that he can excel, right? Run and gun. With a team like this and with a guy like Zion, you don't want to be in too many half-court sets. He did a great job setting screens, rolling hard, catching the ball, one dribble dunk. That's going to be his game starting out until he finds his flow. But for him, you want to be on a team that runs up and down the court. Because when you're in motion and you're not in half court, he's fantastic. He can outrun a lot of these bigs. He can outjump a lot of these bigs. And he's bigger and stronger than a lot of these wings. So there's a lot of things to exploit there, but it can't be in a true half-court set because he's just not a threat to shoot, and it's going to make his options limited. And his ball handling is not elite enough to create his own shot right now or to create instant drives. So a lot of things that worked in college ain't going to work in the pros. In college, everybody was terrified of him. You're going against kids who saw him as a physical specimen and didn't want to get run over. No one's taking the charge because, I don't know how their health insurance is set up. You don't want those problems. In the NBA, guys aren't scared. The guys are looking to go after you. And guys really want to exploit you because you're the first pick, because they want to say, yo, that kid's not built for this yet. I think he'll do well. I think it'll take longer than people expect. So don't expect a lot too early because the kid's got a ways to go. Big topic, and I just want to give my hats off to the USA women's national team. Fantastic win. Megan Rapinoe kicked butt consistently. All the girls kicked butt consistently on a world stage where obviously things got a bit political with some of Rapinoe's comments, especially after the win, talking about the current administration. Listen, whether you love or hate her political, political affiliation, or whether you love or hate her comments, I always appreciate, both as an athlete and as a journalist, I always appreciate athletes being honest. People always hate when athletes give these canned responses and give these cliche answers. But it seems like when athletes finally are honest and tell you what they're really thinking, people jump all over them. Listen, you got to decide what you want. Do you want everyone to be robots, or do you want everyone to be real people? Because if you do, then you should appreciate the comments from these athletes when they are honest and when they're transparent about how they feel about certain situations. I love that Megan Rapinoe shared her thoughts open and honestly. Whether you love her or hate, what she said, you got to respect the honesty, you got to respect the straightforwardness, and you got to respect the talent first and foremost. It kind of bothered me to see fellow Americans kind of crapping on this woman after they just won a championship for our country. At the end of the day, we're still Americans and we all got to support one another, and at the end of the day, we all won, and that's a beautiful thing. So congrats to them. They absolutely dominated, but I think people have got to look past affiliations and this tribal mentality that we're developing in our country. And I hate to get political because this is a sports podcast, but it's true. Let's stop the tribalness and remember, hey, we're all in this together. Great job, ladies. That has been your 2 cents with Jay Rich.